And where did you go to high school?
I went to Central High School, which is in Flat River, Missouri, now called Park Hills. So from Flat River, Missouri to Flat Rock, North Carolina, not a whole lot of difference between the two.
Oh, good. And what year did you graduate?
Graduated from high school in 1967.
And did you end up going to college too?
I went to college for a year at Mineral Area College, and then wound up in the United States Navy shortly after that, during the Vietnam War era.
Okay. And what was your first professional job?
Very first professional job, I guess, would have been right out of high school. My football coach wanted me to announce football for him, and they gave me a small fee for that. I guess you could consider that professional. But I did that for a couple of years right out of high school before I went into the Navy. In the Navy, I was a communications radio guy, and held a top secret security clearance for 20 years. Worked in naval communications the whole time, both in the Navy and in the Navy Reserve.
Oh, good.
4 years in regular, 16 in the reserves.
And, you already asked me. What ended up bringing you to this part of the country?
When I came to North Carolina, I was working for Westinghouse in St. Louis. The plant shut down. They laid off the 400 workers of the plant. They offered about 25 of us a job to transfer to Asheville, North Carolina. And I was one of the 25 they offered a job to, so I took a promotion to come down here, and been at it ever since. I came down here as a trainer and then became a supervisor after that.
And when was your first sports commentating here in the mountains?
I was doing sports in Missouri for several years before I came here. I was a high school announcer there. So when I came here, I wanted to continue that. So once I bought my house, it was kind of a toss-up between the house I have on Jackson Loop and the house I was looking at in Etowah. So I decided on the one in Jackson Loop, and I found that I was in the East Henderson district. So as soon as I closed on my contract, I came right over to East and asked if they needed any help. So they put me to work right away.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you've seen a lot of incredible seasons. Can you name some of your most memorable seasons?
Some of the things I remember the most as I remember. Well, I think the most touching thing I've ever seen in sports was in the early '90s when the little Tammy Belcher girl got killed in an automobile wreck, and the whole East Henderson community was in quite a bit of shock about that. And we were going to play AC Reynolds, and I think they had requested the game to be postponed by a day. And for whatever reason, that didn't come about, and I heard we were being threatened with forfeiture of the game and all that. So the boys, they played the game that night. It was a driving rainstorm, and the boys dedicated the game to her, and they went out and whipped AC Reynolds in football.
Man.
Quite an achievement.
Well, that is.
And it was very, very inspiring that they dedicated that game to her and went out and played their hearts out and beat Reynolds.
Oh.
Never forget that.
I can't remember. They beat Reynolds?
They beat Reynolds. It was in the early 90s. Yeah. I mean, Reynolds was routinely beating us 45-0, every game, but they went out and whipped Reynolds that night.
Goodness.
Now, one of the really funny things I saw was when Chris Sherrill was still coaching at East Henderson before he went to North Buncombe. We were playing Hendersonville, and we were driving in for the go-ahead touchdown, and it was like 4th and goal on the 1-yard line. They'd stopped us 3 times, and Chris basically said, "I can't stand this anymore." So he actually crawled under the counter in the press box, and he was hiding there, closing his eyes with his hands over his ears, and we were all standing there just laughing. Said, "Chris, get on out of there!" And said, "Watch this play." He said, I can't do it. Well, we wound up scoring a touchdown, and then he came out of there, but that sure was fun.
And you've seen your share of incredible basketball games too.
Oh, yeah. I think of basketball, the first thing that comes to mind to me is Nicky Fauntleroy, who was the USA Today North Carolina Player of the Year. I remember that. Christy Strickland, of course, Brittany Parkhill, who I consider to be probably our best all-round female athlete because she played on both the state championship basketball and state championship volleyball teams. Juliet Pack, the best volleyball setter I've ever seen. I remember she was our back-to-back state MVP, and she, in the championship game I saw, she distributed double-digit kills to all 5 of the hitters, which was just amazing. And on the boys' side, I think on football, on the line, and I'm an old lineman myself from my playing days, I think of that big old Bobby Styles, 6'8", 300 pounds. And I think of that Brandon Benjamin kid. He was about 6'4", 6'5", and he went about 325. And just how massive, some of those kids were. Brandon Scott, terrific basketball player, did a real good job at the quarterback. He's coaching down at Limestone now, I think. Yeah. There's just so many. Beth Owenby, did I mention her?
No.
She was the best ball handler that I've ever seen at East Henderson. Coincidentally, I went down and started announcing collegiate sports at USC Spartanburg, and she'd gone down there on a scholarship, so I got to see her play down there for a while. Coaches? Brett Chappell's the best coach that East Henderson's ever had. I think he is very creative. I think he is very good at analyzing the strength of the other team and using the tools that he has to beat the other team. And this year's East Henderson team gets my vote for the best ever, at least that I've seen in my time. Yeah. More speed than they've ever had.
Yeah. And if you could describe that game Friday night, that was incredible. And then,
oh my goodness!
And then to be honored at halftime too.
I was really surprised and very humbled by that, Dean. It was I didn't expect it, of course, and John came up and said, "We need you out here on the field." And I said, "Well, I got to do this senior introduction." He said, "Oh no, Rob will take care of that." So we went out on the field, and then I figured, well, something must be up with this, and they took me out and they gave me the plaque and they mounted the plaque in the press box. I think the thing that probably touched me the most was I was walking off the field, and a lot of the kids were over there on the right hand side and just cheering, "Thank you, Mike! Thank you, Mike!" That just that brought tears to my eyes. It was really, really touching.
Good. And so this, how many years have you been at East now?
I've been at East for 20 years.
20 years.
And I'm just finishing up at Brevard College. They're real good people out there too. Kim Pate's a great AD. Kevin Davis is a great SID. And I'm just kind of backing away from it full time, pretty much, mostly because of I need to spend more time with my family. We got a lot of things going on with my family that need my attention. Mm-hmm. And I've still offered my services as a backup. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one other thing I'd just like to mention is the NCHSAA. I've been able to do the 32 state championship games, working at UNC, NC State, Duke, and what good people they are up there. And that kind of happened a little bit by I sent off a resume. I never really figured I'd hear back from those people, but then Rick Strunk called me, and he said, this was in 2002, and he said that normally they just use the college PA announcer, but for whatever reason he wasn't there. And Rick talked to Dennis Varner, the AD at East at the time, and Dennis gave me a real good build-up, and he called me up and asked if I'd like to help out. And I said, well, how many games do you have? And he said, 8. And I said, well, how many do you want to do? I said, I'm going to do all 8 of them. So I did all 8 state championships in 2002 at the Dean Dome at UNC Chapel Hill. Oh, cool. So I've done 20 basketball and 12 football championships. I hope to do some more football this year. Keep my fingers crossed here.
And what do you think you'll miss most about the job?
I'm going to miss the association with the kids, the enthusiasm of the kids. It's all kind of wrapped into one thing for me. The athletic part of it, and then there's the band shows, and in basketball, the halftime shows with the dance team, and just the association with the kids and the coaches. John Johnson's a great guy and a fine man, and one of my best friends. Just really, really admire him. Margaret Stone's done a great job with the dance team. Sean Smith, a great job with the band. Been just terrific. When I think of Henderson County sports, I always kind of think of myself at East, and then Mike over at West, now WHKP. And then I think of Fred Gore at North. Now, I know he hadn't done it for a year or two, but I always kind of think of the three of us as being like the mainstays for PA announcing for the county. And feel really blessed. Good guys, good people.